And just when I thought Splatoon 3 was never going to get any more content, on the 11th anniversary of Splatoon 1's E3 trailer, it was announced that we're going to get a ton of new kits added to the game. While my goal initially was to review every individual kit, there's a bit too many for that. I'm just one person, so instead I want to give you guys an overview of my opinions, what kits I think will change the game, which ones definitely won't, and why I think this is probably the best argument for custom kits we have had in a very long time. I want to start with the positives here, because while I think there are problems, there's still a lot of good to be had. First off, there are some genuinely broken kits being added to the game, kits that in one way or another are guaranteed to be meta staples. Take Stamper for example. Putting my hatred for Stampers aside and ignoring the sheer privilege of this class, I cannot deny that Autobomb and BO-Bomb is just a good kit. While yes, in a vacuum, V-Stamper is the better kit, we don't live in a vacuum. Tower Control is a bad mode. For V-Stamper. It can be pretty difficult for it to interact with the objective. Nintendo saw Stamper, one of the best weapons in the game, struggling so much on tower control and took pity on it. They gave it one of the best specials in the game for tower control that it can use to clear the tower whenever it wants. I can 100% see this kit being brought out by most Stamper players pretty much the moment tower control shows up. And because we play all modes for some reason, that's going to be pretty common in tournament. Another one that's guaranteed to see play is Dwedwinger. You know what? No, let's go with it. Is Dwedwinger. Vanilla Dwedwinger has proven itself time and time again that it is an insanely strong main weapon. Really good mid-range AoE damage, some of the best paint of any weapon in its range value. Despite being cursed with Reslider, Dwed has proven that it can do incredibly well to enable some really interesting comps. Thing is though, is that it was cursed with Reef. It was never able to perform at its best and actually win something. Its new kit though might be that little extra thing that it needs to perform as well as we know it can. Like sure, Curling Bomb could be something better, but what matters for a weapon like Dread is that with so much paint output, you want a special that's worth painting for. And there isn't really anything better than Crab Tank. So keep your eyes on Dwedwinger. It was doing alright before, but now that it has this kit, I expect big things. Now the next two ones are ones that I am personally really excited about, because these are ones that could see an advancement in one of my favourite styles of team comp in this game. Rapid is getting Suction Bomb Cooler and Dualies are getting Fizzy Bomb Big Bubbler. Both these main weapons already had kits that saw a lot of play. Funny how this keeps coming up, but these kits do something a bit different. Dualies are the ones I find most exciting since they are very aggressive and a very mobile weapon. V-Dualies already fit surprisingly well into a lot of dive compositions. Crab provided a lot of much needed stability, especially if you weren't running a backline, and Ember's Dualies do something pretty similar, but more specialised to dive, since Big Bubbler is incredibly strong in these styles of comps. A lot of these comps would run Junior or Zimmy for Bubble, and maybe they still will, but maybe they'd rather the Ember's Dualies, so they can double down on the aggression, or maybe run a second Bubble alongside Junior. I can see the comp in my mind already, like Stamper, Dualies, Junior, and a +1 being a really strong combo. Though, what's that +1 going to be? Well, back in the day, you probably want to run Rapid Deco, since it's an incredibly mobile backline that can bully a lot of the long-range weapons that tend to keep dive stuff in check, as well as having AoE combos with the Stamper. But a big weakness of this comp is that it doesn't have Cooler, and it's hard to win without Cooler in a competitive environment. It's certainly possible, but difficult. But thanks to the long NZAP, I mean the Barra Blaster, the option for a very synergistic Cooler backline has now opened up. I don't see the Barra Blaster being a go-to Cooler weapon like Heavy Edit or Pencil, but I can definitely see it being optimal in some very specific scenarios, like in dive comps that want Cooler. While not every kit that they're adding is going to be meta-defining, there are some kits that they're adding that I think could be really good for the game. L3, for example, has been really struggling to carve out a niche for itself since Splatoon 3's release. It's either been struggling with being a worse Splashomatic, or suffering with Ultra Stampitis, both of which have led to it having basically no reason to be played. Thankfully, it's getting Splat Bomb and Inkjet, making it the only shooter in the game that has Inkjet, which also means we finally have a viable Inkjet weapon that isn't a backline and has the paint to get Inkjet. I mean, I guess there's also Charcoal Decompensator, but whatever. L3 has always been a really strong main weapon, and it's really nice to finally see it get a kit that makes it worth using. It's not going to break the game or define any meta, but you might see it pop up from time to time. It's a similar story with Reflux. Turf 4 in the first few months of Splatoon 3 aside, this weapon has been really struggling. The vanilla kit is all about paint spam, and unless your special has no cooldown, you can't get away with spamming paint in modern Splatoon. You need to be able to do other things. I've said before that Reef does actually have the stats to make it a good fighting weapon, and the Deco kit does try to do that, but unfortunately the Deco kit has Splash Wall and Reslider, so it doesn't do it very well. The Burrow Bow, on the other hand, gives it Torpedo and BR. Torp is great since you can roll it for some quick damage. Booyah Bomb is also a really nice way to keep you alive. You go in, Torp combo someone to get a kill, Booyah Bomb to keep yourself alive while your teammates catch up, then you throw it at the next area you want to push, repeat. And it works. Machine is proof of this. I don't see the Barabo being all that insane meta-wise, but it's going to show up from time to time, and it's going to put up a real fight instead of spamming specials. And to my surprise, there's actually quite a few kits like this. Kits that, aren't going to define a meta, that aren't going to be a top tier pick, but you will see from time to time because they are good kits that have a reason to be used. And that's good. I'm happy with this. However, the positives end there. Again, I didn't go over all the strong weapons, but I hope I got the point across that there are some good kits to come out of this. And I am really interested in seeing how the game evolves now that we have some new options. The thing is though, not every weapon got a new option. There are a lot of weapons out there that really need third kits to help them reach their full potential. Heavy Splatling, Blob and Wellspring immediately come to mind. Weapons that I 100% believe can be really strong, but they just need a kit that works well with the main weapon. Heavy Splatling and Wellspring, for example, have really strong main weapons. Wellspring has some insane damage and AoE spam, it can one-shot at close range, but it's stuck with Wavebreaker or Hammer. Heavy Splatling has some great paint, mobility, really good fighting power, but oh look, it's stuck with Wavebreaker again and Kraken. But, these kits, they haven't happened. They're ignored in favour of Stamper getting a third high-tier kit, Splash-O-Matic getting another kit even though it will never see use, because his other two kits are already top tier. I cannot stress how important a kit is to a weapon's success, and so leaving weapons with pretty poor kits guarantees that they'll continue to not see play, while giving weapons that already have strong kits even more kits isn't really going to change much. If we're getting limited kits, I don't want to see another Splash-O-Matic or another Splattershot. I want to see our limited kits get used on weapons like Heavy Splatling or Wellstring, so we can actually unlock their potential, have some more variety. This is only an issue if the kits we're getting in this update are the only kits we'll ever get. This won't be an issue if Sheldon Pix comes back and every weapon gets a third kit, but because we don't have a guarantee, and because we don't know what's coming next, I find the selection of weapons to be quite frustrating, especially since they added Octobrush and Paintbrush but didn't add an Inkbrush kit. Please, Inkbrush, please, complete the set. Although there's a chance that this wouldn't have mattered, because there were some weapons that did get a third kit, that did get a chance at a new lease of life, and then they completely fumbled it. Big Swig is a really interesting weapon to me. It has so many interesting qualities. Its horizontal flick has a massive AoE that is great for burst paint, like for when you want to cap the zone, but it also has some really nice chip damage and short range. Its vertical flick is arguably one of the best vertical flicks in the game, since it comes out really quickly, has really long one-shot range, and sure, it's a bit difficult to hit than other rollers, but it has a lot going for it. The third kit finally gives them a chance to really show off what this weapon can do, and to be fair, it starts off strong. Torpedo feels like it could work as a really strong combo tool, allowing you to essentially extend your one-shot range on your vertical flick, as well as giving you options at long range, since the weapon kind of doesn't have that. A lot of its power is focused at short range. Unfortunately, its special is Splashdown. A special it has no synergy with. Swig doesn't want to throw itself into the middle of fights. Inkbrush wants to do that. Give this kit to Inkbrush. It wants to sit a bit further back so it can use its consistent AoE and paint output to keep up constant pressure. I think the idea of it is that it's supposed to be a self-defense tool, an option for if it gets rushed down. Ignoring the fact that it has a vertical flick for that, did Splatoon 2 Vanilla Hydra teach you nothing? Self-defense is not what a painting weapon wants to use its special for. We've had 3 years of making Splatoon 3 kits, we should know this already. Undercover Umbrella is another really interesting example to look at. We know what this weapon needs to succeed, because there was a time in Splatoon 2 where Kensor Undercover was the go-to support weapon, and armor support weapon. So, Undercover has a shield, which gives it extra survivability. Thanks to a buff it got in Splatoon 2, its shield regenerates whenever it got an assist or a kill. Kensor Undercover had armor, which is a very valuable special, so you want to keep your armor alive as much as possible. Armor would also give you a lot of assists. Combine this all together, and what you have is a support weapon with a really valuable special whose unique qualities and synergies mean it is able to fight with its team and keep itself alive, thanks to its regenerating shield. It was an unkillable support, and this can be replicated in Splatoon 3. You just need a support special that can help its team fight and also give you a bunch of assists, and we have that, it's called Tacticaller, and you need a sub-weapon that does something pretty similar, and we have that. It's called Burst Bomb, or Point Sensor, or Torpedo, but it already got that on its second kit. it's actually really easy to figure out what kind of kit Undercover wants, which is why its new kit of Curling Bomb Killer Whale just completely baffles me. Don't get me wrong, Curling Bomb and Killer Whale are fine subs and specials on their own right. My issue isn't that they're bad, my issue is that we already know what a good Undercover kit looks like. It's not hard to figure out, yet we've managed to make something that just doesn't make sense together, and it's just left me feeling really underwhelmed by a lot of these kits. I want to make it very clear, I don't know how they decided on these kits, and I don't know how much work went into them, and I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I can only really evaluate what we got, and what we got feels completely void of both intent and creativity. I know I'm talking a lot about kits in terms of meta viability, and that's because I'm a competitive player. That's the main thing I care about, and I understand that that's not always the intent. Even so, when I look at these kits, I'm struggling to see what their goal was. There are some where it's kind of obvious, right? Dynamo is a clear reference to Splatoon 1. Hydra is also a clear reference to Splatoon 1. Octobrush is a mashup of its Splatoon 1 and 2 kits. Charger is a clear reference to Splatoon 2. And L3 is also a clear reference to Splatoon 2. But there are some that feel completely randomly generated. The Undercover kit makes no sense to me. Like, again, we know what makes it work, and this is none of that. The Blaster kit also makes no sense. The Paintbrush kit, again, to me at least, makes no sense. Especially since it copied V-Squeezer. Splash makes no sense, even though it copied V-Jet. And Carbon also makes no sense, despite it copying Bamboo Mark II. When we have kits that make no sense, that have no strong idea backing them, or they're just kits that copy what has been done before, but with no consideration as to whether or not they'll work now, you're all but guaranteeing that a lot of them aren't going to feel good, that they aren't going to be strong. They're not going to be worth using, and they're probably not even going to be fun. And when you have so many weapons that are in desperate need of a good kit, you can't afford to be so blasé about it. But okay, I think the negativity should stop there, because despite the potential quality of third kits, oh my god, we're getting third kits. This time last week, I fully believed that we weren't getting anything else, that Splatoon 3 was dead and no updates, no more content, just left to rot. But the release of third kits, 29 of them at that, means that actually, no. Splatoon 3 is still going. It's still getting support, and maybe, just maybe, even more third kits are on the way, which might right a lot of the wrongs that I've brought up in this video. And it's hard not to be excited about that. Though I think it's weird that they showed Tent in the trailer, but never actually gave it a third kit.